Dexter Southfield Middle School Grammar, and today we are talking about 6 troublesome verbs. Here are the keys, the 2 most important things you need to know before we start this video. You need to know which verbs take objects, and you need to take your time to avoid any possible confusion. And our first 2 verbs are lie and lay. To lie means to rest or to recline, and to lay means to put or to place. Lay takes an object. Lie does not take an object. Look closely at the base, the present participle, the past, and the past participle for these 2 verbs. This may be the most confusing pair. So the base form of lie is lie, the present participle is lying, the past is lay, and lay is the same as the base of obviously the verb lay. And then the past participle is a word we tend to skip using, which is lain, have or has lain. We tend to use laid in its place, and that's probably the biggest mistake that we make. For lay, the base is lay, the present participle is laying, the past is laid, and the past participle is also laid. Take a look at these examples and see if this makes sense. I lie down after a hard day's work. So in this case, we have lie, and there's no object for the rest of the sentence. But with lay, I lay my book bag down carefully. You lay what? You lay the book bag, and that is going to be your direct object. So object. I lay down after yesterday's difficult workout. This is using lie as in the past. So this lay right here. There is no object here, so it must be the verb to lie. And the form for the past is lay. So we have to be careful there because, of course, they look exactly the same as the base form of the verb to lay. And then I am laying napkins on the table. I'm laying what? Laying napkins. Well, that's a direct object. And so therefore, this is the present participle form of the word lay. So as you can see, this can get confusing, and you need to make sure you look for those objects so you know what it is that is being spoken about. And of course, it does always make sense to make sure you know what's actually being said. Take into consideration the actual definition. Next 2 confusing verbs are sit and set. To sit means to rest in an upright seated position, and to set means to put or to place something somewhere. Set takes an object. Sit does not take an object. And here are the base, the present participle, the past, and the past participle for these. And here it gets a little bit less confusing. So it goes sit, sitting, sat, sat, and then set, setting, set, set. So there's less crossover. But at the same time, there is oftentimes some confusion between the 2. And the best way to describe this confusion is just to go right to the sentences. Please sit down and take out your notes. You would never say, please set down and take out your notes. No object. This is sit. And it means to rest in a seated position. So you're sitting down, and you are resting. Then this one, we have an object. Please set the computer. That's your DO right there. But oftentimes, I think it's fair to say that many people tend to incorrectly use the word sit. Please sit the computer on the table. We don't really sit the computer on the table, even though it might look like the computer is sitting. You set the computer on the table. Next 2 verbs are rise and raise. And these definitions are a bit confusing. To rise means to go in an upward direction, and to raise means to move something in an upward direction. Raise takes an object, and rise does not take an object. And here's the chart. So we go from rise to rising to rose, and then risen, and then raised to raising, raised, and raised. So again, not some crossover like we did with lie and lay, but at the same time, I think it's fair to mention that these 2 tend to get confused right there. And these 2 do as well. So let's take a look at some examples. I rise to the top of the class when I work hard. So rise, this is this form of the word right here. to go in an upward direction. I rise to the top of the class when I work hard. You will see this is a prep phrase, another prep phrase, and then another clause. There is no object here after the word rise. And then with raise, you raise the flag, and the flag here is the direct object. Reflection, which pair of verbs is the most confusing?